Welcome back to Silent Stories Updates, where every story reveals truth, courage, and the quiet strength hidden inside ordinary people. If you love real stories that inspire, shock, and keep you listening till the very end, make sure you stay with me, because today's story starts with a simple wooden bridge and ends with an entire HOA learning a very big lesson. Let's begin. I didn't set out to cause trouble. I didn't plan to challenge anyone or stir up conflict. All I wanted was a safe, clean way for my daughter to cross the small stream behind our house. That little creek was shallow most days, barely ankle deep. But after rain, it flooded enough to turn the grass into sticky mud and the path into something slippery and unsafe. My daughter, Emma, loved exploring the woods behind our property. It was our special place. A tiny patch of nature in a world that always felt too busy and too loud. Every time she wanted to cross the stream, she would hold my hand and say, "Dad, one day you're going to build me a real bridge." So one weekend, I finally did. I used reclaimed wood, sanded it myself, and sealed every plank. I set the posts deep into the ground and built a strong, beautiful bridge that sat entirely within my property line. And when Emma first stepped onto it, arms out like she was balancing on a tightrope, she laughed so hard that I thought my heart might burst. That moment made every minute worth it. And then, 3 days later, everything changed. I opened my mailbox and saw an envelope stamped with an angry-looking red label. I thought maybe it was a late water bill or some junk mail designed to scare people. But when I opened it, my stomach dropped. The HOA had fined me $350 for an unauthorized structure. I read the letter twice, then a third time. The wording was cold and impersonal, saying I had violated a rule by building a structure visible to the common walking path. The phrase unauthorized structure fee burned into my memory like a brand. At first, I thought they had me confused with someone else, a neighbor, a contractor, anyone but me. So I called the number on the notice. Mrs. Carter, the HOA manager, answered. Her voice was sharp and practiced, like she'd been waiting all day to tell someone no. I explained the situation. I told her the bridge was on my property. I told her my daughter used it. I told her it wasn't blocking anything or affecting anyone. Her response was quick and dismissive. "Sir, all visible structures require prior approval. The fee stands. If you fail to pay, additional penalties will apply." Something in me cracked. Not loudly, not dramatically, but the way a small fault line cracks beneath the ground before a much bigger quake. I took a deep breath. I asked for the exact rule I had supposedly violated. She avoided the question and told me she would send documentation soon. She hung up before I could ask anything else. For the rest of that day, frustration ate at me. I wasn't a troublemaker. I wasn't someone who broke rules. I paid my dues. I kept my lawn trimmed. I said hello to my neighbors. And yet here I was, being punished for building something harmless, useful, and entirely mine. The next morning, I went outside and stood on the bridge. Sunlight spilled across the wood in warm stripes. Birds chirped. The water glided gently beneath my feet. Everything about it felt peaceful except the thought that someone wanted to control even this a simple thing built with love for my daughter. And that's when my frustration turned into determination. I wasn't going to pay a baseless fee. I wasn't going to let someone bully me on my own land. If the HOA wanted to challenge me, they were going to have to do it with facts, not intimidation. First, I emailed the HOA board requesting a full copy of the rule they claimed I broke. Not summaries, not hints. The actual text. It took them for days to respond, and when they finally did, what they sent wasn't a rule at all. It was a guideline, a single page saying homeowners were encouraged to seek approval for structures visible from common areas. Encouraged, not required. That alone was enough to invalidate the fine. But I wasn't done. I hired a licensed surveyor to come out and mark my property lines with bright orange stakes. When he finished, it was undeniable. My bridge wasn't near the edge. It wasn't touching any boundary. It wasn't on HOA-maintained land. It sat a full 7 feet inside my property. I had the proof I needed. When the next HOA meeting came around, I walked in with a folder in my hand and a quiet fire in my chest. The room was filled with residents. Some came for drama. Some came out of habit. Some came because they were tired of the HOA's overreach and wanted to see what would happen next. Mrs. Carter sat at the center table, her back rigid, her expression unreadable. When it was my turn to speak, she jumped in before I even opened my mouth. The structure violates visual aesthetic standards. The fee stands. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue emotionally. I simply laid the documents on the table. The guideline using the word encouraged. The CC in our stating the HOA could not regulate private structures unless they caused hazards or encroachments. The professional property survey proving the bridge was completely within my land, and photos showing it caused no blockage, no damage, and no disruption. The room went still. Then one of my neighbors, an older man who walked the trail every morning, spoke up. "I see that bridge every day. It's beautiful. It causes no issue. It's on his land. Why are you charging him for it?" Another neighbor nodded. "I thought it made the area nicer. Why punish someone for improving their property?" Their support gave my words even more weight. I looked straight at the board and said, calmly and clearly, the fee was issued without authority. I request its immediate withdrawal, removal of the violation from my record, and a written acknowledgement that no rules were broken. Mrs. Carter shifted in her seat, clearly realizing the board had overplayed their hand. Her confidence began to fade. One board member whispered to another. Another reviewed the documents with a deepening frown. Then finally, the board president spoke. We vote to withdraw the violation. A small wave of applause spread through the room. Not loud, but real, genuine. The kind of applause that comes when people feel someone finally stood up to something unfair. I thanked them, gathered my papers, and walked out feeling a pressure release from my chest that I didn't even realize I had been carrying. When I stepped outside, Emma was waiting with my wife. She ran up and hugged me. "Dad, you fixed it," she said quietly. "You really fixed it." And in that moment, I realized the victory wasn't just mine. It belonged to every homeowner who ever felt intimidated or manipulated by an HOA that had forgotten its purpose. Over the next few days, several neighbors slipped notes into my mailbox. Notes that said things like, "Thank you for standing up for all of us, and you showed them. They can't push people around, and I've been scared to speak at meetings. But you gave me courage." I kept every note. But the moment that hit me hard came a week later. I was standing on the bridge with Emma, looking out at the water. She held my hand and said, "Dad, this bridge is more special now." "Why is that?" I asked. Because now it's not just our bridge. It's the bridge that shows people they should stand up for what's right. She was only a kid, but she understood something deep, something important, something many adults forget. Sometimes you build something simple like a wooden bridge, but life turns it into something bigger, something meaningful, something that connects people not just across water, but across fear, uncertainty, and unfair systems. Every time I step onto that bridge now, I feel the strength it represents. Not the strength of wood and nails, but the strength of standing up calmly, firmly, and intelligently. The strength of knowing your rights. The strength of refusing to let anyone, no matter their title, push you into paying for something you never owed. I built that bridge for my daughter, but life made it a symbol of something far greater. A reminder that the quietest voices can still carry power. A reminder that fairness is worth fighting for. A reminder that sometimes doing the right thing means standing your ground even when you're standing alone. And the best part? No one can ever charge me for that kind of strength. Before we end, if you enjoyed this story and want more real-life tales about courage, justice, and the hidden battles people fight every day, make sure you follow Silent Stories Updates. Your support helps these powerful stories reach more people who need to hear them. Thank you for listening. And remember, sometimes the strongest bridges we build aren't made of wood at all. They're made of resilience.